I'm standing in the shadow of the Pantheon in Rome, looking up at the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world for nearly 2,000 years. This massive structure weighing some 4,500 tons has defied the laws of gravity and the decay of time. While modern concrete bridges and overpasses often begin to crumble after 50 or 60 years. The Romans built maritime harbors and monumental temples that have survived a millennia of pounding surf and seismic upheaval. Today's video will explore the concrete revolution, investigating how a chemical accident involving volcanic ash allowed the Romans to reinvent the very shape of the human environment, and why, after the fall of the empire, this world-changing technology simply vanished. The Romans were not the first to use lime mortars, but they were the first to discover the transformative power of a reddish-brown volcanic sand found near the Bay of Naples, known as pozzolana, when mixed with lime and water. This ash triggered a chemical reaction that allowed the mortar to set even underwater. This wasn't just a convenient building material, it was a geopolitical tool. Before, pozzolana harbors were limited to natural bays and inlets. With it, Roman engineers could sink massive wooden caissons into the open sea, fill them with concrete, and create artificial ports like the one at Caesarea, which turned a stretch of Judean coastline into one of the busiest hubs in the Mediterranean. To understand why Roman concrete is so much more durable than our own, we have to look at the chemistry. Modern Portland concrete relies on a mixture that remains relatively static once it sets. However, Roman maritime concrete is alive. When seawater seeps into the structure, it dissolves the volcanic ash and triggers the growth of a rare mineral called aluminous tourmaline. These crystals grow within the gaps of the concrete, reinforcing it over centuries. In a sense, the ocean doesn't erode Roman harbors, it completes them. In the city of Rome itself, the use of concrete allowed for an architectural liberation. Traditional Greek architecture was a world of post and lintel vertical columns supporting horizontal beams. This limited the size of internal spaces, as stone beams can only span a short distance before snapping under their own weight. Concrete changed the math. By casting the material into wooden molds, Roman architects could create the arch, the vault, and the dome. We can see the progression of this technology in the ruins of the imperial capital. Early experiments in the 1st century, like the octagonal room in Nero's Golden House, showed that concrete could create soaring, light-filled spaces that felt untethered from the ground. This culminated in the reign of Hadrian with the construction of the Pantheon. The engineering of the Pantheon is a masterclass in weight management. The Romans didn't use a single uniform mix of concrete for the entire dome. Instead, they used a graded approach. The base, at the lowest levels, the concrete was mixed with heavy basalt to provide a solid foundation. The middle, as the walls rose, they switched to lighter broken bricks and tuff. The summit, at the very top, near the oculus, the concrete was mixed with pumice, a volcanic rock so light it floats on water. But even with these innovations, the Roman building industry was a colossal logistical undertaking. Thousands of laborers were needed to burn limestone into lime, a process that required massive amounts of fuel and produced choking clouds of smoke. The Tiber was perpetually clogged with barges, carrying pozzolana from the south and timber from the northern forests. If concrete was the backbone of the Roman world, its disappearance is one of the great mysteries of the Middle Ages. As we discussed in the previous video regarding abandoned cities, the collapse of the Roman state was accompanied by a fracturing of trade networks. The concrete revolution depended on a delicate supply chain. When the shipping lanes between the Bay of Naples and the rest of the Mediterranean were surveyed by pirates and Vandal incursions, the supply of pozzolana dried up. Furthermore, the recipe for high-grade concrete was a closely guarded trade secret held by imperial guilds. As the great public works projects ceased in the 5th and 6th centuries, these guilds dissolved. The knowledge was not written down in a way that survived the chaos. It was passed from master to apprentice, and when the apprentices no longer had monumental domes to build, the chain of knowledge snapped. For 1,000 years, the inhabitants of Rome looked at the Pantheon and the bars of Caracalla not as feats of engineering, but as the work of giants or sorcerers, unable to fathom how such stones could be suspended in mid-air, trying to reverse engineer the secrets of the ancients. Even today, as we face a global climate crisis, scientists are looking back at Roman pozzolana. Modern cement production is responsible for nearly 8% of global carbon emissions. Roman concrete, which required less heat to produce and lasted 10 times longer, might hold the key to a more sustainable future. It's a humbling thought that the lost technology of a 2,000-year-old empire might be more advanced than our own in the ways that matter most. We build for the next decade. The Romans built for eternity.